Zimbabwe, the government has once again banned the import of second-hand clothes, and they have pushed the vendors out of the city center. This same policy failed in 2015. Back then, it collapsed under the weight of reality. No jobs, no alternatives, and no plan for the people who depended on these trades to survive. Now, they try it again, and I can't help but ask, are we fixing the problem or just stitching the anus to treat diarrhea? Because when unemployment is sky high, the formal sector is in ruins, and millions rely on the informal economy just to eat. A ban like this isn't a solution. It's a time bomb. Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of the Statement Podcast. Join me today as we unpack the recent government intervention by Minister Daniel Garwe of the local government when he appears to ban importing and selling of second-hand clothes as well as vending in the central business district of Zimbabwe. Why this policy may fail, the deeper causes the government keeps ignoring, and what really needs to change if we want order in our cities without starving our people. So in today's episode, firstly, I'm going to take you through the thinking of a policymaker in coming up with that decision that was announced by one such policymaker, Honorable Daniel Garwe. And secondly, why vendors are trading in the CBDs, particularly in the CBDs. And that's going to be followed by me answering the question. And last, that will be, will the intervention last, or it's a case of stitching the anus just to treat a diarrhea? So here is a policy justification for the ban of second-hand clothing and the second-hand clothing importation of the same product, and also vending in the CBD. So if I was a minister, this is exactly the thought process. This is what they consider when they are making such a policy. So consider the first section as justification. Number one, as a policymaker, the duty is to craft and implement decisions that strike a balance between public welfare, economic sustainability, and urban governance. So the government's recent decision to ban the importation of second-hand clothing and restrict unregulated street vending in the CBDs, especially in Harare, it must be understood not only in terms of law enforcement, but also as part of a broader national strategy to restore order, protect public health, and strengthen formal economic activity. So restoring order and urban functionality in the CBD is very crucial in Zimbabwe because Zimbabwe's urban centers and Harare in particular have been experiencing severe congestion caused by unregulated vending, obstruction of sidewalks and shop entrances, negatively affecting pedestrian flow and emergency access, unfair competition with formal businesses, some of whom pay taxes, not some of whom, they are all required to pay taxes as a matter of fact when you do your tax clearances every year, and added regulations. Yet, the same formal businesses are unable to operate competitively due to the presence of unregulated vendors occupying prime CBD spaces, and they are doing this rent-free. So, by relocating informal trading out of designated spaces, the government, what it is simply doing is, it is reclaiming the CBD as a zone of planned and regulated commercial activity. This helps them to enable easier policing, cleaning, and municipal service delivery. For example, collecting of rubbish. Now, this also sends a message that laws and city bylaws, they help cultivate long-term investor confidence. So in a way, they are sending a message to investors to say, no, we can maintain order, we can create order, and we can maintain order. You can come and invest. There is order because capital respects order and capital needs order. Without order, capital will flee. Now, the second reason has to do with addressing public health and sanitation risks that are associated with the vending. So the absence of toilets and basic sanitation services in vending zones has led to open defecation in alleys and in public spaces. You have heard Minister Daniel Garwe saying, "Iva vampu ya vamburukona vanosisa sandrukutaura izvuti kana wakanzi wakuda kuenda kutoilet." And also that problem is also the authorities are also part to blame because they have to provide easily accessible toilets, because this has been a problem, and the city council also has been earning a lot of money through these vendors because they would go around and collect some fees from these vendors for vending, and they were supposed to actually provide toilets, but they are wide and apart in Harare. From Market Square, another one Zondewana Copacabana, and then the other one I think it's in close to First Street along, is it Jason Moyo? Probably that's all. Passing footing a public toilet. So that is really something that the city council should also shoulder that blame for creating a situation where vending becomes a health scare as a result of lack of resources to sanitation resources. So this leads to improper waste disposal, causing environmental degradation, because those people are selling groceries on the pavements. After they have unpacked their products, people buy, they are going to be left with empty boxes. Where are they going to put those boxes? And now the people that are now running collection of waste, now that they are associated with the presidency in that company, one of the sons of the president is one of the owners, one of the directors of that company. So it's easy for them to get information as to what are the main challenges, what are the problems, why we can't easily handle waste collection in the CBD. So the information can quickly be cascaded to the president that is in the cabinet, and then they can quickly come up with solutions like this. Will they work? That's what we want to see if they're going to work. Right. So these issues, they attain risks of disease outbreaks such as your cholera, your typhoid, and dysentery. So it is not sustainable for thousands of people to operate and consume food in environments without water, without sanitation or proper waste systems. It's really not. Because you go and defecate there, you go and urinate there, and someone is selling tomatoes here, and flies are there also. Those are hotspots also for flies, which certainly carry the parasites that will lead to disease outbreak. And I wonder why it always starts in Harare. In many cases, it starts in Harare, then it is spread across the whole country. So even the issue of fleas, fleas, I think, bed bugs. A few days ago, a few months ago, it started in Harare, and then from Harare, then you hear there's an outbreak in Kwekwe. Then you hear there's also an incident in Blawayo and so forth. It always starts in Harare, because that's where this kind of trading is proliferated a lot more than in other place in Zimbabwe. So the decision to relocate district or restrict these activities is a preventative public health measure, ensuring cities remain safe and habitable. So as a minister, this is how I'll be thinking, why should I be doing this? And then thirdly, I can say protecting local industry also in promoting economic self-reliance, because in that very same cabinet also, Minister of Trade, Industry and Trade is also there. I think my issues are again, there's a lot of competition from vendors and so forth. Minister of Agriculture, why is it we haven't seen an increase in production or in farming of cotton? And he says, no, the textile industry has been affected by importing of second-hand clothing. So in the cabinet, as a policymaker, this is exactly how they will be crafting their thought process, how they'll be following their thought process. So Zimbabwe's textile industry, it has suffered, and it has done so dramatically due to flooding of the market with low-cost imported second-hand clothes. This incentivizes the local garment manufacturing players and cotton value chain revival. Now, trading in second-hand clothing promotes outflow of foreign currency also, because of Mtuli and Treasury, they are also looking also on the issues to deal with foreign currency. Why is it foreign currency is not why are we having challenges with foreign currency? And here we have people that are importing second-hand clothing, and they're doing this outside the system actually, because you don't need to go through the banks and the RBZ and then to follow the proper procedures when you are using foreign currency outside the country. It's too bad in Zimbabwe. It's not only foreign currency. USD is foreign currency, but it's also domestic currency. So people just take it, go to Mozambique, go and buy what they buy, then bring them to Zimbabwe without following any procedures. But a lot of US dollars, a lot of foreign currency has been leaving the country through this very channel. It has been living through this channel. So the ban on second-hand clothing imports is a step towards reviving the local textile industry, I would imagine, supporting cotton farmers, tailors and manufacturers, promoting local production and entrepreneurship by encouraging Zimbabweans to make, sell and buy local products. Also helping formal businesses and small medium enterprises grow sustainably, generating more taxes, jobs and innovations, creating a level play field for formal businesses as well. And these formal businesses, they register with the ZIMRA and contribute to national revenue. They pay rent, they pay rates and employee salaries. They comply with labor laws, health standards and consumer protections. They have definitely raised some very legitimate concerns about unfair competition from street vendors. Was vending in front of formal shops, it diverts food trafficking. Vendors often sell the same products, but they evade taxes and fixed costs as well. The other issue is this weekend's formal enterprise. The growth of formal enterprise is weakened, and it disincentivizes tax compliance. Why am I complying? I am complying, but there's another player who is in the same sector, who is selling the same products, but the person is not paying any taxes, any direct taxes, apart from VAT, of course, when they buy from manufacturers. So this creates a clear distinction between formal and informal zones, and it protects the integrity of the formal economy. Definitely, it needs protection and incentivizes growth of registered businesses. All right. The next chapter is why vendors prefer the central business district. Now, I have been a vendor myself when I was in Harare. I had a side hustle that I would do every day after work, but we're not doing it in the CBD. But I would understand why someone would leave Kuchitubu, would not conduct business, go high fields and go to the CBD. Because as a vendor operating in Zimbabwe, the economy is highly informalized, and I would choose to trade in the central business district over designated areas or residential neighborhoods for the following survival-driven reasons. This is important. It's survival-driven reasons, nothing else. The first reason is high foot traffic. More customers is equals to more sales. And the CBD is the economic heartbeat of the city. It attracts workers commuting daily. It attracts shoppers from surrounding suburbs. It attracts commuters passing through major transport hubs. Maybe you're moving from Glenview to Masasa. You pass through the CBD, isn't it? Especially if you're not using your own personal vehicle. You are passing through the CBD. So that makes you a potential customer. So this constant Flow of people provides guaranteed visibility and high potential sales volume, which is essential. It's a very essential for daily survival. In the CBD, I can sell my tomatoes by 11 a.m. But in the designated site, I may not even sell half of that by sunset. You see, and this is exactly what is happening and what happens in vending. And then the second thing is proximity to supply chains and transportation. Most suppliers, from vegetable wholesalers to second-hand bale importers, operate in or near the CBD. Being nearby, it comes with its advantages, such as it reduces transportation costs, it makes restocking quicker and cheaper. Kutongoti zanatengesa pa mayewa kana kapera, fuko ikapera, kutomanya there's a dairy body shop close by, and then you go there, you restock again, and you sell. So it makes restocking quicker and cheaper. Vendors, they also respond faster to market demand. Kutongona chiri kupisa market izvezvi kutomanya totsvaka supply, and it's easier to find supply within the CBD than uri kuchitubu. Kure unotozoti I will see this tomorrow, and you have already lost income and a chance to do business. So in residential areas, vendors would have to spend on transport, and this takes also time away from doing business. It eats away into the time that you're supposed to be doing business, and this cuts into already thin profit margins. And then thirdly, customers prefer the CBD for a variety of bargains. It's a lot of people in the CBD. So consumers also prefer shopping in the CBD because prices are often lower due to bulk buying and also mainly though due to competition. There is a greater variety of goods, and you find that variety in one place. So even if vendors move to designated markets, customers may not follow them, leaving them in isolated spaces and with low sales actually and very high losses. In summary, as a vendor, I don't choose the CBD out of rebellion. I choose it out of survival. It offers more buyers, lower costs, and higher turnover. Until designated sites offer the same commercial advantage, vendors like me will continue flocking to the CBD. It's not for luxury, but for livelihoods. Authorities underestimate push factors. They don't live among the people. This is the problem that I have with SANU-PF. It has stopped existing among the people. They don't understand the people's struggles. They don't. They are elites, the policymakers. So will this intervention last, or will it hold? This is the last segment of our episode. So from a politics, policy, and economic analysis perspective, while the Zimbabwean government's intervention to ban second-hand clothing and vending in CBDs may fail, along with that, with what must be done to ensure success through root cause thinking. Number one, structural unemployment and the collapsed formal sector. So why this intervention may fail is Zimbabwe's formal economy is incapable of absorbing the millions surviving through informal work. They can't. The decision to remove informal vending and second-hand cloth trade without creating jobs or cushioning those affected will increase desperation, it will increase black market activity and social unrest. The 2015 ban failed because there was no alternative to livelihoods that were created. The informal sector filled the void that had been left by company closures, investor flight, and brain drain. So what needs to be done is the government must revive industry. And this should be done through policy stability and investor confidence, local production incentives, e.g. cotton to clothing value chains, public-private partnerships for small-scale manufacturers. Guys, I don't know what's really difficult, this government. I don't know what's difficult. Because you look at the Zimbabwean economy, you can see where the challenges are. You can see where you need to develop, what you need to do better, because it's glaringly clear. You don't have electricity. Ever since I was O-level, there was no electricity. You would go home, you would use candles to start in a city. I grew up in Masvingo, in a city. You would go the whole night, 2007, without electricity. You need electricity. There can't be any development without electricity. Nothing you can do. So they know this, and why are they not doing it? Honestly, why are they not doing it? You need efficient, proper infrastructure, transportation infrastructure, to move goods to and from within the market. And you need industries. Manufacturing industries, you need agricultural industries, in mining industry, tourism. You know exactly what makes the Zimbabwean economy tick. Why not do it? Why not do it? Because people are not doing vending for funny. They are not doing it for funny. They would prefer formal employment with a decent salary. That's what they need to be provided with. So this intervention, it certainly will fail, because this policy, it appears and it is very much detached from lived realities on the ground. It treats informal vending as criminal rather than a national response to poverty, high unemployment, and rising living costs. And there was also poor consultation. This is top-down imposition by policymakers, and it lacks empathy. And this is a good ground for resistance and non-compliance. Just as 2015, enforcement will be undermined by public sympathy. The public will have sympathy for vendors because these are people that they can relate to, and the inability of authorities to monitor all entry points for second-hand clothes. So what needs to be done? Shift from punitive to inclusive policy making. Now this, everyone has been crying about this, even businesses. Government, when you make your policies, you don't consult us. Then conduct broad-based consultations with the informal traders, market associations, local authorities. Provide legal vending spaces with water, toilets, and shelter. At the moment, where we relocate the thousands of vendors in the CBD of Harare? Design a transition plan for gradual formalization, not an abrupt ban. You just go on TV and you say, we have banned this. What about those we have already gone to import, who are on the way back with stock? What are they going to do with all the capital that is in the stock? They are going to sell it. And the way do you think they're going to sell it? And in selling them, that's when they are going to find out about loopholes. How do we circumvent this banning that has been effected by the government? So thirdly, there's an issue of weak state capacity and high corruption risks. Why this may fail? Because policy success depends not only on design, but also on execution. Zimbabwe suffers from porous borders. Because even the people that are supposed to enforce the laws, they are struggling. They are not earning decent salaries. They are not. Almost everyone who works for Zimra at the borders and the law enforcement agents who work on borders, they are all living above their pay grade. And how are they managing that? Corruption. So there is a lot of corruption in customs and the municipal enforcement. Inconsistent follow-throughs on regulations also. Who follow through on the regulations on Aninzar? They can't do that. So if enforcement becomes selective or politicized, the policy will create resentment, economic exclusion, and deepen inequality. Just as in 2015, when well-connected individuals continued to import and sell second-hand clothing under the table, dzinongopinda nombi hadzitadzi kupinda masecond-hand mazitya anongopinda. And it will start with politically connected people. Anongopinda wanzi ndani ingaya ndara. Hatovharana otopinda. So what needs to be done is strengthen institutional integrity and governance, increase border control technology and transparency. I'm laughing because then Zimbabwe has collapsed almost everywhere in every sector. And the amount of effort and resources that are needed to put that country back into shape, back into order. It's unbelievably a huge amount of investment that needs to be done. It's a huge amount. So sometimes I get the feeling that the government itself, when they look at the amount of challenges that they are facing, there's nothing much that we can do about this situation, and it continues to deteriorate. The situation continues unabated, and corruption continues unabated. Because somehow I get the feeling that they've resigned to say, really, there's nothing that we can do about this. There's nothing much we can do about it. It's a shame that we have degenerated to these levels as a country. And to continue, what also needs to be done is reduce corruption incentives especially by paying enforcement agents a living wage. Now, talking of how things have deteriorated everywhere, it's not only these enforcement agents that you need to pay properly. It's everyone else. Because you pay the police, the Central Intelligence Organization guys, they would also want to be paid. The army will also want an increase. The other civil servants, the nurses, the teachers, they will also want a living wage. That's how bad the situation is. And also it's important to devolve regulation to local government with probably performance-based oversight. And on my final thought, I would say banning vending and second-hand clothing is not policy reform, it's social denial. You cannot criminalize poverty out of existence. The government needs to address root causes like unemployment, deindustrialization, and poor urban planning. Otherwise, this is not a policy fix. It's teaching the owners to treat diarrhea, suppressing symptoms while worsening the disease. Policies that ignore roots of poverty are doomed to fail. You can chase vendors off the streets, you can ban second-hand clothes, but until you create jobs as a government, until you revive industries and give people a dignified way to earn a living, you are just moving the problem. You are not solving it. Zimbabwe does not need more crackdowns. We need solutions that work for the people, not against the people. So tell me, do you think this ban will fix the problem? Or are you watching the same old movie play out all over again? Drop your thoughts below, because this conversation is very far from over. Thank you for coming to my podcast. Take care.